Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Throtl. My name is Rickie, and today we are going to attempt to finish the Starlet, at least to get the carburetor in. The last video we left off by by me making or adapting one of the brackets that they send into the stock manifold. We also put or added a block off plate for this side right here. So in this video, our job is to take this off, the manifold off, and marry the new one in there. You may be asking, why would you take the ITBs off? This is a motorcycle carburetor which I modified years ago, and it worked years back. It's been rebuilt since then and it's still not working properly. I don't know if the carburetor's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It leaks from every gasket known to man, which I covered that on the last video, and I'm tired of the headaches dealing with those carburetors. I'm sure there's people out there that's making them work and they work perfectly fine, but in my case it's not working, and honestly I just want to drive this thing every day. So I'm gonna go back to the old school way with a Weber 3236 carburetor. We're gonna install that, which is extremely reliable, and the plan is to drive this thing every day from here on out. Well, once I get it running right. Alright, so let me explain the new dilemma that I have now with this. Simple setup, huh? Yeah. Always works that way. Okay, so check this out. The only way that this carburetor will sit flush without any issues is this way. Problem with this is the way that the throttle or the throttle cable is gonna have to work. It will have to open this way, right? Which means the wire has to pull from this side, this way, so it can open up. Problem one is that it's gonna take a lot for me to get a longer cable to go this way, build a bracket so I can make a quick U-turn so I can pull the cable, right? If I turn it this way, which it'll make the most sense, here's my throttle cable, here's my flapper. I'm gonna work just fine. Here's my fuel line. I can go straight from here to here, not having any issues. My problem here is that the electronic choke is hitting the brake booster, or the brake fluid reservoir, if you want to get technical. My question is that I've never tried this before, because I never had to. I'm gonna remove this electronic choke, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to put it back in it and go with the plan B, the one that I didn't want to do. But right now plan A is to remove the electronic choke, see if I'm able to I should still be able to use this whole system. It's just that this choke right here, it's just probably not gonna be able to work, but it should still be able to open with this. Okay, so I was able to remove, by just removing the front cover of the electronic carburetor, I have enough clearance now to install it this way. I wasn't able to take this whole thing off because everything is connected. Problem with this is that the choke is not going to work anymore. Once you open it, it's going to be stock open, and that's it. There'll be no choke. So we'll see how it does in the cold mornings. But so right now, that's going to be my solution, or I'm going to have to order another carburetor that has a manual choke, which is probably the one that was supposed to be here in the first place, but I wasn't aware about this issue. So let's keep going. One thing that's driving me crazy is that this kit did not come with the throttle body cable kit. It's a small adapter that goes in here. This cable goes through and it bolts onto it, and there's a little bit of place that when you pull, it moves. So for now, I'm gonna have to put a zip tie here for now until I can get the little piece that the kit didn't bring. That actually started way quicker than I was anticipating or I was expecting. And it's idling. It's been 6 years since I drove this thing, so I'm pretty excited right now. It's not dying either, so that's good. Time to check the fluid. I want to take it for a spin. To be honest, I don't care what the fluid looks like right now. The oil actually looks brand new. I just want to make sure I don't blow this thing. There's a lot of rusty water in there. That's it, right? Brakes we don't care about.
It does. It does.
Oil and coolant. Let's do this. Oh yeah. Did I mention I have no plates in this car? This is driving so good right now. I should have done this 6 years ago. I haven't even touched the carbs yet. Why's my brake light on? Gotta check that later. My brake light's on. Smoking a little bit. I'm assuming she's rich. Definitely rich. So we'll lean it out in a second. Did you guys know this thing is rear wheel drive? I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to do a donut, but not enough power. Oh man, I'm gonna be enjoying this thing. Next thing, gotta register again. This thing hasn't had plates in the trunk of this car for a very long time, so it's happening, baby. Tach is working, speedometer is working, coolant gauge is working. Unfortunately, the fuel gauge is working, and we are way below the E line. Right. About to check the fuel mixture on it. I don't know if you guys seen my gadget that I built a couple of months back. I'm gonna show it to you right now. Hold on.
Go, gadget copter. Oh my, it's actually working.
All right, guys, check this out. This is an AEM air and fuel gauge, an AFR, which a lot of people call it. You guys seen all those movies and all those race cars out in the streets and car meets that have that little gauge, and it has a number in the middle. The number goes up and down, and this thing goes left to right. That's what this is. What this does, it reads the air and fuel mixture coming out of your exhaust pipe through this sensor, right? What I did is, these things are $270 each. I have way too many cars, and a lot of them are carbureted, for me to buy one of these things for me to adjust the carb just for the initial tune, right? That's just, for me, it's just way too much money. So I grab a gauge and I made this custom box, you can say. It's just It's just plywood. It's just wood that I put together to a switch. So this is the way it works. Hook this up to the battery, positive and negative, and from here it goes to the back of the gauge, and it's giving this power and this power. When this turns on, this will light up, and this right here is actually just a multimeter. The reason why I put a multimeter here is for me to make sure that this is actually getting power, the unit, right? This is just a switch, a kill switch, so I can turn this box on or off, right? The second cable is the O2 sensor reader, right? From here, it's usually what goes through your firewall into the engine bay, and you will click the O2 sensor into that. You will click this, which this usually will go, this goes, wait, headers on the other side. This will go into your headers and will plug into the gauge. The gauge usually, people usually put it on this area or over there, wherever, it doesn't matter, as long as you can see it, right? And when it comes to reading the air and fuel ratio, you guys seen this number probably goes to 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 17, I believe. Yeah, oh yeah, right here, 17. And it can go all the way as slow, this gauge in particular can go as low as 10.0. The lower the number, the richer it is, okay? The higher the number, the leaner your car will be getting, which means less fuel, more fuel, right? You want to be somewhere in between with a carburetor, okay? If you're running a turbo car and you're like full on throttle and you're running 15 psi or more, you want to be somewhere in the rich area because you want to save your motor. What that does, you get less horsepower, but your motor will be safe. People that are running lean, right? Pretty much they're leaning out the motor, they get a lot more horsepower, but next thing you know, boom, right? Engine's gone. That's pretty much what happens, right? Leaning blows your engine, rich keeps your engine alive. You guys remember Mickey's issue with the motor and anything that happened? Remember how we said that the injector shut off for 1 second? When the injector shut off, this gauge actually spiked. Leaned it, blew it up, right? Fuel is not just giving you power, right? It also works as a tool. Fuel, it's actually helping cool down the motor during high power peaks. If you guys know what I'm talking about. Fuel is cold, right? So the more fuel you put in it, right, it's also, not only you getting power, but you're also cooling down the motor, which is exactly what prevents the engine from detonating and exploding and whatever. But that's a whole nother subject. Let's stick to this one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hook up those two prongs to the battery. We're gonna get power to this. Once we get power, we're gonna hook this up to that one, and we're gonna throw this thing, because I don't have a O2 sensor hole in there. We're just gonna throw this thing on the exhaust pipe. All right, please fit.
That's what she said.
Okay, it fits. We're gonna throw it just like that, right? And I know, but Rickie is not 6 inches from the header. Rickie is not, doesn't matter, okay? I tested it. On my FD, I have the same exact gauge hooked up and it works just fine. I put that in on the exhaust pipe and I turned that on. And I have a camera facing both of them at the same time and it was reading exactly the same. It works. Back to business. Just put this here. Oh, Rickie, put a rag right there so you don't scratch your paint. Whatever. No big deal. And is this even gonna reach? I made it long enough. Nah, we're gonna go the other way. No big deal. Bam. All right. Start with the process. Oh yeah, I have an MSD box. Totally forgot about it. Yeah, let's go right there. Positive and stop playing. Negative. Do we have power? Bam, we do. All right, so right now we're getting 12.5 volt and it's reading 14.7. Oh yeah, another thing people talk about, my gauge. It needs the heat from the exhaust in order for it to work. No, it doesn't. These gauges, the reason why this thing has positive and negative, the actual sensor, it warms up on its own. If I were to take that off right now and touch it, it'll be getting hot, okay? The sensor heats up on its own. Car doesn't need to be on for that. Myth, myth, myth. So let's crank this thing on. Stop playing. Come on. 12.2, 12.3. Right? I want my numbers to be high 13s, low 14s. That's where I want my car at. So right now I'm gonna grab this one, the screw on top. It adjusts the idle, right? This screw down here, it adjusts the air and fuel mixture. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. Oh yeah, by the way, please, if you guys have an easier way to do stuff or a better way, let me know. Give it in the comments, tag me so I can see it, and I'll definitely look into it. I'm all about doing stuff easier and faster, right? You're not gonna hurt my feelings anyway. So we are at 12.7, right? Let's see. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, right? So right now I lefty-loosey, that's no bueno. We're gonna go right now. There's my girl. Something to you guys right now. You guys see how it's between 13 and 14, just how I like it, and I start revving up. You guys see how it goes to the right? That means it's leaning up. You don't want to run that lean. It means we're gonna go lower just a little bit more, see what it does. Lower, right? So let's go lower here. Right, somehow it keeps leaning up. It's gotta be a different. God, that thing's hot. I'm missing something. Idle. I want it to be lower. So we still have 4 psi, which is good. Now I need to figure out how to bring it lower. Worst case scenario, I can just take this car to DNA garage and they have a bunch of jets so we can rejet it for the high-end power. But so right now, throttling good. I'm gonna keep messing with it and I'll be right back to you guys.
A little later.
Okay guys, I'm back. So there goes my timing like. So right now, like I said, I wanted it between 13 and 14, 14.5 or so. That's where it is right now. Seems to be doing good. I checked the timing on it. The timing was off, so I just adjusted that. So now the timing's good. Still seems a little bit rich when you actually rev it all the way up. So next thing to do is probably going to be rejetting it. When it comes to tuning, that's the best that I can do here. So next time when I go to DNA, I'm going to take my Starlet and then I'll just have them change some jets and we'll tune it over there and it should be ready to go. Up next, I'm going to change the spark plugs, new fuel lines, maybe an oil change, see what happens. Alright, so pretty much what I'm doing right now, I'm just putting the rest of the braces, brackets, whatever you want to call it, putting the filter back together. So there's a bottom plate, a top plate, filter in the middle, and some clips. That's what I'm doing next. Alright guys, so carburetor is pretty much finished. I did talk to Louis, and Louis said pretty much the same thing. You can only do so much with that adjuster screw. We're gonna have to rejet the car. Once you start driving the car, after I adjusted the timing, it goes rich and then it starts to go lean. Alright, so I don't know if I'm on the freeway. I don't have a gauge installed on the car, so I don't know if I'm gonna be on the freeway, if it's gonna be running lean, rich, or half. It don't matter. So I told Louis that I was gonna drive it up there whenever I can, but first I gotta get the registration done. I wanna replace this radiator for a way smaller one. Tune up, which I have the stuff right here. And I want to check the diff fluid and the transmission fluid. I want to make sure that we're good on everything. Once I begin the registration process, then I'll bring it back over here. We'll put it on the lifter, and then we'll start working on it. So let me see what I can figure out around here that I can teach you guys something before we leave. Be back. All right guys, I'm going to show you guys how to solder, how to use a soldering gun, and how to use heat shrink tubing. Okay. Obviously, you guys are trying to solder two wires together, right? You can easily use a connector, but sometimes connectors fail. Sometimes you're trying to do a cleaner job than just having connectors everywhere. So, I mean, this part's obvious, right? You guys gotta have some type of exposed wire for you guys to be able to solder. In my case, the way I like to do these things, I like to put the wires together, right? Wait, before we get to that. If this is wire that's attached somewhere, right? Not like loose like this, if it's attached somewhere, you can't get anything in it. You guys gotta put the heat shrink tubing in before you start soldering. Because when you start soldering, there's no going back. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna pretend that this is to harness in the engine bay, right? I'm gonna put my heat shrink tubing in there. I'm just gonna push it back. Remember, when you start soldering here, all this area right here is gonna start to warm up. Heat shrink tubing, when it starts warming up, it starts shrinking. So you wanna move it far as back as possible. That way the heat from the soldering doesn't get to it before you place it where you need it. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put it together, twist it, and then I'm gonna try to go around it. Shoot. Make sure you turn your soldering gun on before. So there's multiple types of soldering guns out there. You can literally buy these things anywhere. This one actually has an adjustable, okay, this is Mickey's. This one has an adjustable number here. The higher the number, the hotter it gets. We usually like to use between 3 and 4 out of 5. That's usually hot enough for you guys to, or for me to start soldering with this soldering gun. Some soldering guns don't even have numbers. It's just as soon as you plug it in, it starts heating up. You may be asking, why do you need numbers on a soldering gun? Well, some of these solder right here, some of them are thicker than others. The thicker it is, obviously you're gonna need a hotter gun. But in this case, for this is fine. So we'll wait for these things to warm up. And the way you know it's warmed up is by touching it, and if it starts melting in it, then obviously it's hot enough. And here you also notice a sponge. The sponge is pretty much wet. I wet it before I put it in here. And in between solderings, you don't want this thing to get too hot because the tip starts going bad. So as I'm soldering, I wet it in here just so it can kind of cool down and clean itself. What I'm doing right now, I'm just pouring solder on the soldering gun. And I'm just letting it sit on top of the wire. By letting it sit there, the wire is just warming up with it, and eventually it's gonna get just as hot as the soldering gun, and it's gonna melt the soldering side. Once it's on top, I usually put it right under it, and I let it heat up more, and then you'll see how the soldering is just gonna bond itself with the wiring. Don't be afraid to pour some more in there. See the solder all the way around it. Now moving on to the heat shrink tubing. Now the solder's in place, right? It's not gonna come out because we did a good job. You're gonna put the heat shrink tubing right over it, and you want the center of the solder in the center of the tubing. Now tubings can come in feet, they can come in inches, or you can just buy one of these universal packs that brings up, it's like 2 inches wide, and they have a bunch of them in different sizes. So right here, the loud noise is the our heat gun here for the shop. We're gonna use this heat gun to shrink this heat shrink tubing. Now, I've used lighters, I've used my kitchen stove, I've used a torch, anything that produces heat. I've actually seen people use soldering guns and they place it around it, and with that they shrink the tubing. But the safest way to do it is to use the heat gun. Especially if you're gonna be working around fuel. And that's how you use soldering gun and heat shrink tubing. I've seen soldering guns from $10 all the way up to $150. It all depends on what you're gonna be using it for. I would suggest something like this. Something that has adjustable heat on it, in case you need to solder something thicker, or using a thicker solder. You can adjust the heat from there. Heat guns I've seen between $10 and $20. I have like 4 of them because once I buy one I can't find it, I go out and buy another one, I can't find it, and so on and so forth. All right, I think that's it. I talked to Louis. Louis did say that we are gonna have to rejet the carburetor. So I'll see once I finish the registration and stuff. We'll go up to Louis and then we'll go buy new jettings, and then probably learn how to do some jetting on the 3236 carburetor. Top of that, next time I bring back the Starlet, we're gonna do the full tune-up. I didn't get a chance to do it today, it's already late. We'll do the full tune-up, we'll drain all the fluids and replace them, and I'll have the coolant sensor by then. And that's it. I'll give you guys another walk around. So like I said before in the previous video, this is a 1981 Toyota Starlet. There was 3 different Starlets that came out back in these years. There was a KP60, KP61, and a KP62. The KP61, it's the one that everybody wants, which is the one that came with a 1.3 liter engine, which is the biggest engine. The other engines were 1.2 and 1.0. They also came with 4-speed. Some of the KP61s, like this one, came with a 1.3 and a 5-speed. I was lucky enough to have the 5-speed, the 1.3, and it is a KP61. It has Technotoy tuning suspension. It has, I bought those flares from a guy down here that used to make them and sell them. I think I paid like $160 for all 4 of them. Like I said, that was like 6-7 years ago. The wheels are SSRs 13x7 in the front, 0 offset, and 13x8 in the back, negative 22 offset. The interior has been redone. Seats and door panels. This is from, like I said, from a Honda Civic. And the back is the OEM KP61. It's just been redone. Oh yeah, I gotta get the license plate lights, and I have to get the fender mirrors too for it. Really can't wait to start driving that thing again. I had a blast when I was driving that car when I first purchased it. Well, obviously this is the end of the video, and I want to make an explanation, right? So I'm sure you guys are wondering how come I didn't go crazy with this motor, right? And when I mean crazy, I mean like welding the flange, you know, just making it kind of like Mickey spec. And this is the reason why. This motor, I did this so it can be a quick fix so I can start driving it, right? So I'm gonna start daily driving it for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of days, and eventually this will happen very, very soon. I just need you guys' point of view. So I want this motor to come out, right? This 1.3 liter, I want it to come out, and I want to put something else in it. But I need you guys' help on this one, right? So I got a motor in mind, what to drop in there, because I do want to do a motor swap. And
Just thinking about it, yeah, this motor is gonna get me, you know, up and down the street, but I want something better, right? This is a Starlet and it looks so good in the outside. Let's do the same thing for the engine bay. I want some. I know the common swap are the 4 AGE swaps, SR20s I've seen, 12As, 13Bs on it. I've never seen a beam swap Starlet. I've never seen an LS swap Starlet. Not that that's what I'm going for, but I'm just trying to put stuff out there. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think. What kind of engine swap should I do? It is gonna happen. I just need different options so I can choose one of them. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for standing by. I know this was kind of like it took this second video took kind of long to come out. Thank you so much for standing by. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, please like, and comment down below because I want to know what you guys have in mind or what kind of swap should I do. Alright, thanks guys, take care, bye.